It was actually a very shocking result to us that there's a very few number of substations you need to take out in the entire United States to knock out the entire grid.
Knock out the entire grid?
That's correct.
A total power grid collapse.
Massive power outages.
We had a blackout. Boop, boop. We knew this was coming, despite that some electric providers simply were not ready.
Now, most of us have encountered some kind of power outage at least once in our lifetime, but typically it only goes a couple hours, so it's not something we give much thought. But what were to happen if that outage lasted more than just a couple hours? What if that outage lasted for days, maybe a couple weeks or even months? In this video, I'm just going to provide you with a few tactics and suggested supplies for navigating an aftermath of a power grid collapse. Let's get started. The first thing that came to mind was, where's your home base going to be at? Your home base is where you plan on staying for the long haul.
I'm not leaving!
This is the place that can keep your friends, your family, your water, your food, more importantly, your safety. Now, this could be anywhere. This could be your home, a family member's home, a neighbor's or friend's place. I mean, heck, it could even be your local church. The important thing is to know where you're going. The last thing you want to try to figure out when things hit the fan is, where do I go to keep safe? Now, your circle need to know where you're headed as well. If all lines of communication are delayed or completely go out, everybody needs to know, do I stay put where I'm at, or do I head to the specific location where everybody's going to be meeting at? The last thing you need is for someone to go looking for someone when the other person doesn't know that they're being looked for and they leave that location. Know the plan, know where you're headed, have a home base. So one of the key factors that come to mind, I mean really in any situation, but this one specifically, is effective communication. Now, there are various ways in which we can stay connected when traditional power sources have become unavailable or even unreliable. It can be worthwhile to invest in communication methods that do not rely on power. Battery-operated walkie-talkies, ham radios, and satellite phones can be used to stay in contact with family and friends, as well as collaborate with local and national disaster response teams. It could simply be just used to check in with others or get updates of what's happening around you. We put a few links in the description for you to check out if you get a minute. There is no reason to try to take on everything yourself in dark times. In fact, it's not wise. As much as you prepare, there's always something you will forget. And this is where having a community in place is important, so you have the help and support. Connect with your neighbors, coworkers, church members, anyone you like and trust. Establish a support network of local residents who can be trusted and relied upon when trouble arises. Form cooperative groups to discuss strategies and contingency plans. Surviving a power grid collapse depends on communication and support. Making the best use of available resources, alternative communication methods, as well as building a sense of community with neighbors will go a long way in minimizing the impact of disaster and enabling recovery. When you think of community, think of it as your backup plan. Now that you know all that, we need to address water and food. The first place that will be looted in times of chaos is going to be grocery stores with food and water. Not only will it be difficult to find food in those times, but it could also be very dangerous. Remember, people do desperate things in times of panic. Let me not remind you of the infamous toilet paper wars of 2020. By stocking up on items such as canned food, dried goods, and bottled water, you're ensuring that you have something to eat and drink if regular access to food and water isn't available. The average amount of water an average adult should be drinking is a half to a gallon of water a day. So doing some simple calculations, having 7 to 14 gallons of water in storage should be good for 1 week for one person. Just like an average person should be having about 2,000 calories a day. So having 14 to 28,000 calories worth of food for 1 to 2 weeks would be a great starting point for water and food. So really, this is just where your risk level comes into play and level of preparation you want to have. Just calculate accordingly. 1 year equals 365 gallons of water, or 1 year being 730,000 calories worth of food. You can either buy food ready to go through companies like ReadyWise, My Patriot Supply, or go to a more traditional route and a little cheaper route and do it yourself. Here's a list of foods that last longest if you decide to try that route out. I'll attach a few links for the products I've used and liked if you'd like to take a look at those yourself. Another benefit of stocking up and being prepared more than others is that you can use these items to barter with. There are many times when trading goods and services can be the only way to obtain items that are needed. For example, If you have an extra canned good, you may be able to trade that for fuel, batteries, health supplies, anything you need. Here are a few essential items that can be bartered with that would be good to have just a little extra of. Water, food, emergency supplies, heat and light, hygiene, feminine products, condoms, alcohol, salt and sugar, anything you can think of. And again, these are items not necessarily you're going to use, but what the average person is going to be needing in these times that would be good to trade with. Now, you may never need to barter anything if you prepare well enough, but at the end of the day, as the old saying goes, it's better to not need and have than to need and not have. In a total grid collapse, meaningful sources of electricity become scarce to say the least. Emergency backup power can be helped to ensure your home, business, and community aren't left to be in the cold.
I think we're back in business.
Here are 3 common emergency power sources. Portable generators allow you to generate electricity without relying on an external power source. While these generators require fuel to run, they can provide enough electricity and power for critical appliances such as light, medical equipment, and fridges. When purchasing a portable generator, consider its size and noise level to ensure it meets your needs. The second one on our list is going to be solar panels. Solar panels allow you to generate electricity using natural sunlight. Since solar panels don't require fuel, they are a great option for long-term emergency needs. However, they are more expensive than portable generators and may not be suitable for all climates. And our final one is going to be wind turbines. Wind turbines can be a great way to generate electricity from wind power. This technology is becoming more and more advanced and accessible, so making turbines a viable emergency backup power source. These turbines are especially suited to areas with higher wind speeds, such as coastal regions. No matter what emergency power source you end up using, it's important to prepare for a power grid collapse by having a plan in place to make sure you know how to properly operate and maintain your emergency power source, and to make sure that you have the necessary resources like fuel and batteries in stock and ready to go. With this knowledge and right resources, you can prepare yourself for the darkness with emergency backup power. Now, if it's only a couple of hours, people stay pretty calm, but the longer the power is out, naturally, the more scared people will get, and that invites chaos. It can be difficult to stay safe and secure in these trying times, so there are a number of measures that you can take to keep yourself and those around you safe. One of the easiest and most disposable self-defense tools you have, and probably the most important tool, is your awareness of your environment. Being able to observe an area, a situation, or a person, and analyze if it's a potential threat, both little or large, and then act upon those observations both in proceeding and retreating if necessary. So many people are distracted by their phones nowadays, which makes them an easy target. Don't let outside noise put you in a position that could be fatal to yourself or those around you. Stay low key, don't be flashy, don't be loud, and move with purpose. Now let's talk about your home base. Your home base is your castle, and there are a number of tactical moves you can make before the threat has a chance to get to you. So the more layers of self-defense we can create, the better. The first thing that came to mind was a dog fence. It was probably one of the first things you thought of as well, since so many people already naturally have fences around their yard or have dogs that would be, a natural security system, unless you have one of those scared gerbils at your house. Having some kind of fence around your property may be one of the lowest levels of protection and may not do much, but remember, predators are opportunists, and the easier a target looks, the more likely they will go for it. So a fence can be that first layer of protection. Now let's say that fence doesn't do the trick, and you got a self-motivated intruder that wants to go to that next level. That's when Old Faithful comes into hand. Here are the top 3 dogs that are rated as the best guard dogs of 2023. Number 1 is the German Shepherd. They're extremely intelligent, loyal, and easy to train. Number 2 is the Dutch Shepherd, which are very brave, loyal, and very alert. And finally, number 3 is the Belgium Malinois, which are very focused, brave, and protective. Another form of protection is going to be window film. Windows are an easy entry point in a home, and instead of boarding up the windows so you lose vision of your surroundings, I might suggest looking into a security film that can be placed over the top of the windows and still give you visual awareness. Again, you never know where the threat's going to come from, so an extra layer of protection is always a good idea. Now let's talk locks. Most doors come with your traditional 2 set of locks, the deadbolt and the knob locks, which are better than an open door obviously, but they can be picked fairly easy or kicked in. So I suggest having an extra layer for the door, both indoor support and locks. For example, having a door reinforcement lock can prevent it from being picked or kicked in. Also, reinforcing the door's frame and using a thicker door can prevent a break-in. When you're in a last resort situation where hand-to-hand or weapon is necessary, the last thing you want is to not be trained. When it comes to hand-to-hand, go join your local boxing or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. Learn different techniques that can be difference of you living or dying. Learn to breathe and think under pressure in those situations, and if nothing else, it's a great cardio workout that is important to be on top of. Having a weapon is always a must, but with that being said, do not be one of those people that go and buy a weapon and do not know how to properly use it, or keep it safe when it's not being used. Go take some classes on how to operate it, use and store them. Go to your local shooting range and practice simple drills so you get familiar and comfortable with your tool. Here are the top rated weapons for home defense. Number 1. A Mossberg 940 Pro Tactical Shotgun. It has the ammo capacity of 8, it's semi-automatic, and super simple to use. Number 2 is a Beretta 1301 Tactical Shotgun, same as the Mossberg, 8 capacity with a semi-auto action. And finally, number 3 is going to be the SIG MPX, which uses a 9mm ammo and holds up to 35 rounds. Finally, remember more than anything that your mind is the most powerful weapon when it comes to all these items we have gone through today. And even if you have everything prepared, if your mind isn't right, it really doesn't matter. Practice going through these different situations with yourself and those in your circle so that it becomes second nature if it were to happen. Prepare your mind before so you can take care of those you love later. By being proactive and focused on preparing for a power grid collapse, you can walk forward in this crazy world with confidence knowing you've taken precautions beforehand that will keep you and your loved ones safe. This video doesn't have all the answers, I'm just a man behind a computer trying to help, but hopefully this gave you a few more ideas you can implement if push comes to shove. Oh, and before you go, here's something that most people forget about. Like and subscribe for more content like this.